Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Yeah.
The views expressed by J. Michael McCoy are the views of the hosts and guests of Max World Live, and not necessarily the views of Webcast One Live, its staff, its management, the cleaning crew, Dave the electric guy, the guy who cleans the skywalk, the woman who brought in the cookies, the management staff of Hubble Real Estate, the parking lot attendant at Keck Parking, the wait staff over at Miss Kitty's, the coffee crew at Frederick's, the man in the street corner willing to work for food, Rob Spearman, Max Crabb, or anyone else of sound mind. Should you be offended, provoked, intimidated, shocked, confused, or just made to think independently, log on to maxworldlive.com right now. It's your voice we want to hear in Max World. And now, live from the palatial studios of Webcast One Live, your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon, the 14th day of October in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and it's the Tuesday edition of Max World Live with Tom Coates. Ryan is producing. Our special guest is Mike Ahmed, and I'll introduce him to you in a minute. But I had an interesting conversation with a political type, not today, Sunday. And he said one of the things he likes best about this show, I'm sorry, Tom, it doesn't have anything to do with you. He likes the fact that we date it.
Mm-hmm.
And in radio, you don't date things anymore because of podcasts. Okay. You want somebody to pull up a podcast that's 3 months old and make them think it's current.
Oh.
He says he likes the fact that we date this show every day because we are so current. We're talking about stuff. What the three of us will talk about today could literally change by the time the ink dries on tomorrow morning's paper.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's why I always tell you the date. It's 14th day of October, Lord's year 2014. And what we're going to share with you today is incredibly timely, and it may very well change by the time the ink dries tomorrow. Okay, my guest, and you correct me if I get this wrong. Well, not if, when. Mike Ahmed is our guest. Mike did a show on this platform for about a year, I think, about a year ago. And he is a mucky muck with a company here in town that keeps him extremely busy, especially during the summer time. And so he wasn't able to continue his show. But he is a resource to us as Christians, is incredibly valuable. Now, you were on Anwar Sadat's cabinet.
Correct.
In Egypt.
Right.
And I don't remember the exact story, but you were feet from him when he was assassinated.
I would have been feet from him when he was assassinated.
All right.
I would have been, yes.
But you fled the country, right?
Yeah.
And you have been hiding out is the wrong word because you're very open here, but back home, you're a wanted man.
Correct.
Home is Egypt.
Right.
And in fact, you've got family back there that I think you shared with me once that you worry about a little bit.
Right.
Because they are in contact with you and things could get hairy.
Right.
All right. You were a Muslim.
Right.
Devout.
Yeah.
And you came to America and began to investigate Christianity.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay, tell me how that worked.
No, I came to America just to be as heathen as any American can be.
All right.
Because I was disappointed in Islam. I was disappointed in religion. Altogether, I questioned everything. So I just threw the towel.
Okay.
I used to watch, the show Dallas.
I love Dallas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Lucy was there, and she was very cute.
Yeah.
And I came to Hollywood to just to live the
Dallas lifestyle.
The Dallas lifestyle. I know it wasn't in Dallas, but they named it Dallas.
Yeah.
But I know, I might run into beautiful blonde blue eyes, which is my wife now. But now today she just changed the color of her hair. It's brunette this week. So
now, in all the characters of Dallas, because Dallas was my favorite show.
Yes.
In fact, quite frankly, I don't know if you've watched the new one. Yeah, we're in their, I think, third season on TNT of a new Dallas. What character most represented you or most resembled you?
Of all of them?
Yeah, who did you want to be like? And don't tell me Lucy.
No, no, I wasn't really interested in any part. I mean, most likely I was just waiting until she show up and look at her with eyes full of lust and heart for lust. That's all I was interested in. I was just.
And that was America to you.
That was America to me.
All right. So how did Jesus enter your life?
I stopped one day. I was driving and there was a young lady on the side of the road. Her car broke down. And
is it here in Des Moines?
No, that was in L.A.
Okay.
And like I said, I moved from Egypt to move to California at that time. And there was a young lady who broke down on the side of the road. And I looked, wow, okay, I'm going to stop. And I stopped and helped her with her car. And she invited me to a home Bible study.
Oh.
And I don't know what a home Bible study is. I never heard that term before. It didn't matter. Just the word home was in it. That enticed me. So I did go there. And there was wonderful people with a home Bible study going on. And they were talking to me just like you're talking to me about Islam and versus Christianity. And, of course, I'm an evangelist at heart. Regardless whether my intentions was not to follow the religion or not anymore, but I felt it was my job to defend the religion, and they talked to me
to
about
defend Islam.
Yes.
Okay.
And they said that only you got to believe in Jesus to get saved. Well, I've argued that point. I know as a part of the Quran it does say that actually, and a lot of people don't know this, but in the Quran one of the pillars is that you are to believe on Jesus Christ in order for you to be saved.
Now, there are 5 pillars.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. And what are those 5 pillars?
The confession of your faith that Allah is one and Muhammad is his prophet.
Okay, hold on. Confession of faith.
Yes.
That Muhammad.
that God is one. Allah is one.
Muhammad is God?
No. That Allah, which is that word means God. God is one. There is only one God.
Okay.
Of course, it was added to it the confession that Muhammad is his prophet, which is that was an add-on. I didn't know that, but that was part of the pillars. And of course, you go to Mecca to to get redeemed or to get to pay your dues.
Is that one of the pillars?
Yes.
All right, go to Mecca.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be once a year, right?
No, once in your lifetime.
Well, once in your life, you need to go to Mecca.
Right. And if you can renew it because you're capable of, or your name pulled in the lottery of attending, then you can go again.
And when you go to Mecca, what do? Repent?
It's basically you go around the Mecca several times and you really work your fanny off, and it comes up a place where you throw rocks at the statue of the devil, or it's a rock, they consider it where the devil is, and you wash up and you pray and you a lot and you just walk in that heat of the day. It's miles and miles and miles. You just keep on going around, just like the children of Israel went around the mountain.
All right, and number
40
3?
years. And number 3 is you fast every Ramadan.
How often is that? Once a year?
That's once a year for 30 days, yes.
So for once a year, you go with nothing for 30 days?
Well, from sun up to sundown.
Okay.
You fast all things.
So you pig out when it's dark.
When it's dark, you pig out.
Okay. All right, number 4 pillar.
And so we said the Shahada, which that's the confession first, the Mecca, and you pray 5 times a day at least.
Okay. And what else?
And what was the 5th one? I just went blank.
Where's the belief in Jesus?
Oh, it's it was said as a part, but I said that as a pillar of the Islam, but it's not anymore. For some reason, I don't understand why that has been taken out of there. Because believe me, most people in Islam, they really don't go by the Quran. They go by the Sharia law, which is written by a man. It started out with one of the writers, was al-Bukhari, came after 194 years later after Muhammad died and wrote
Sharia law.
Sharia law.
the Sharia law or the commentary called the Bukhari, and they considered that actually there's at least 500 books written in after Muhammad.
And when did Muhammad die? Before or after Christ?
Oh no, after the whole Islam came 500 and some years, 532 years after Christ.
All right, so you're talking about 500 something A.D.
Yeah.
At one point, the Quran recognized Jesus as an important pillar, and it no longer does. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it is in the Quran, but the Muslim community who believes on the Bukhari, who believes in the Ahadith, which is the commentaries, there are several of them. There's thousands of commentaries that are written that makes the Muslim community lives by. And but then it comes. They narrowed it down to at least 9 of those books that they consider them as good as the Quran or even better than the Quran. If you pull out the bylaws of Saudi Arabia and the Sharia law, you'll find all of the content of it is from Al-Bukhari. That's one of the books, one of the 9 books that are admired. And most of those writers were actually not even Arabs. I mean, a lot of them, came from Pakistan. A lot of them came from different parts of the world that believed they had a revelation of what Muhammad was like. I mean, Muhammad as a character, you would admire him. There is a lot of similarity in his character with Gandhi.
All right, so we would consider as Christians the Bible to be the end-all and the be-all, and when somebody like C.S. Lewis or Chuck Colson or somebody writes a book, it's interesting, it's something we want to read, it can give us some additional insights in the Bible, but the Bible's still the end-all and be-all. You're saying with the Muslims, the Quran isn't the end-all and be-all, that many of them follow subsequent writings as close or much closer than they do the Quran itself.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. And as a matter of fact, some of them even believes that the Quran was tampered with. But not those books. They believe that they will live by those books. For me, as I grew up in Egypt, into a Muslim family, we were not brought up with this. We only were brought up with the Quran. That was it.
Okay.
That's why my argument was valid for some time. I mean, if you actually there are books of the Quran. I mean, you have a whole chapter, or if we consider them like our Bible, they have 66 books in the Bible, but they consider it over there as a chapter. But like for innocent, there is a whole book in the Quran is called just dedicated for Maryam.
For who?
Maryam, which is Mary,
Okay.
the mother of Jesus,
Okay.
was dedicated for her.
Would we consider the subsequent writings that you're saying that many of the Muslims, or even the majority of the Muslims now follow more closely, would we consider those writings to be more radicalizing
Yes.
for the Muslims? And so that perhaps we looked at a Muslim 50 years ago or something, they would not tend to be as what we would consider radical as they would be today, and that the writings have radicalized them?
Yes.
Am I
Yes.
overstating that?
No, that you are very, very correct, because like I said, again, I moved from Egypt 30 some years ago, and it was not the same as today. I've met some of my own family that become radical in those aspects.
All right. Mike Ahmed is our guest today. Is it fair to say you're a former Muslim
Yes.
and you are now a Jesus freak?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can say that.
And also very political, keeps up with stuff going on. He's going to share with some stuff that he knows through his relatives and some people back in Egypt. It's not gossip, it's truth. You're going to say, well, why didn't Brokaw give this to me? Or no, Brokaw, Brian Williams. Because this is the stuff the administration doesn't want out.
No.
And we don't have tinfoil hats on. You can turn on Webcast One Live and see. I think in 2014, everybody knows that if you say something that is anti-government and you haven't heard it yet on the major networks, I think you probably know it's true. It's just the way the media is today. It's sad. This is what happens when you have free journalism and the right to print and say what you want to say. People will say anything. But Mike Ahmed's got some great information for us, including a conversation about Sharia law getting into American mechanics and money. It's something else. We're coming back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit, we don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
Get away from us, you need old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
21 minutes after the hour, live on the 14th day of October in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Mike Ahmed, former Muslim, current Jesus freak, on the cabinet of Anwar Sadat that you know was assassinated in 73?
1981.
81.
6th of October, 1981.
All right, make sure you're right on that microphone.
6th of October, 1981.
All right, and we've got some breaking news I want to get to in a second, but you guys have, you have a 13-year history. You first talked to him 13 years ago.
Yeah, and it was crazy because I've been in a workforce for many years, and as a matter of fact, I've done some contracting with the U.S. government, and after 9/11, because consequently, because I'm also a pilot.
Did not know that.
Yes, and I got marked. I mean, I got interrogated by the FBI because of my last name and Egypt, and I got locked out of the workforce completely. I mean, I was done wrong, and just my finances started going terribly bad.
Okay,
and I called you, and because I found that you're a Christian, you're a believer, and you'll give me a good advice. And I couldn't pay my bills no more. And and you gave me a good advice. You said take your smallest bill. Get rid of your smallest bill first. Did you remember that?
Mike, I've got to be honest with you. When you told me at the break that you and I had spoken and that we had had a contact 12, 13 years ago, I honestly don't remember that. But a lot of people come up and will say things like that. You know, we talked, 8, 10, 15 years ago and be able to recount some of the stories. And I wish I had the kind of memory that would regurgitate it. And that I could say, I remember, and we said this, and honestly, I don't. But I appreciate it, and I hope that whatever I or our offices gave you was of value at that point.
It was.
And a lot of people still come up and say, "You helped me 10 years ago, and my life's a whole lot better now." And that's the essence of what the real benefit to what I have done over the last 27 years and working with people in their finances. So it's always an affirming comment when I hear things like this. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you for the advice. It was a great advice.
Good.
Yes.
I've got an instant message here from somebody that says, Tom, I met you almost 10 years ago, and I don't like you at all. Love, Bradshaw.
That's good.
All right. Breaking news on the Drudge Report today.
Let's talk about this because it is extremely topical, ladies and gentlemen. This price of the crude oil and the collapse, it's been building for weeks now and actually longer than that. I kicked myself today for not taking financial advantage of it because I just continue to watch it. But what's happening is that a number of factors, this always enters into something like this. We went through a long period of time where crude oil and the energy prices were quite high. It's like a big tax on our economy and on the world. What's happening now is the reverse. You could argue that it's deflation finally playing out. The stronger dollar has a play in it. We had news out the other day that wasn't widely reported that will have a major impact on this supply-demand situation. The United States of America and Canada have been two countries that in recent years have been significantly ramping up our crude oil production. Modern technologies of things called fracking and vertical drilling and other things have led to a boom in the oil patch. I lived in Midland, Texas, Mike, in the 80s, and it has been revitalized now. Not only the Dakotas, but also places like the Permian Basin out in West Texas have been revitalized through these new technologies. So what happened yesterday that I saw reported yesterday was very quiet, but it's very significant. It has to do with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the only country in the world that can turn a tap and all of a sudden millions of additional barrels of oil flow out. None of the others can. Most of the Mideast production, like Iraq, they're trying to get back up to where they were. They were destroyed by the war effort. Syria's been messed up. Iran's still struggling. Saudi Arabia is the one stable oil producer that can just turn that tap and ramp it up. Now, what they are saying, in essence, guys, is that we want to maintain our percentage of the world markets. The other oil producers were trying to get them to turn their tap back and squeeze down their production and try to maintain higher prices because they need them. Saudi Arabia is a very low-cost producer, and they can maintain a profitable situation at a much lower price of crude than most of the others can. They are going to produce more oil. If you see the price of oil today, you see it down almost $4 a barrel. It was down, it's been down. Not that long ago, it was over $100 a barrel. Now it's down, bumping at 80. That will significantly drop the price of gasoline and everything else that we buy that is shipped in. Groceries, things on the store, everything that the American consumer will buy is going to go down. Now, it has a consequence, but a stronger dollar also has a play in here, too. We are going to see a significant shift in our economy because of this lowered price. Now, what the Saudis will do, and they're exacerbating what was already happening, but by producing more oil and trying to reclaim their percentage, especially the Asian market, they will have to drop and hold the price down, in all likelihood down closer to $60 to $70 a barrel, and keep it there. A spike won't do it. What they're also wanting to do is they're wanting to punish the higher cost producers in this country, in Canada. They don't like Iran. Mike, you could speak to that. Some of the other Middle Eastern countries that have been cutting into their markets had a much higher cost per production of barrel of oil. They will punish them, and they will force them into doing things that they don't want to do, shutting off some of the production, taking losses that they don't want to take. And so this is not a strategy that's just going to go away by the end of the year. This will be a long-term strategy. Didn't get much play. People start to ask why. It'll come out more now, but this is what's happening, and it's a major story.
So if we're at 80 and gas is about $2.89 a gallon, so let's say $3 a gallon, and we drop another 20%, you're telling me we could see gas at around $2 a gallon.
I think before this is over, Mac, I've been predicting gas when it was mid-threes. I said you see it under threes. I think you'll see it down to the low twos. Now, there are some other factors here. America, at this point, until they change their laws, is prohibited from exporting crude oil. So they're refining as fast as they can and exporting the refinery products, the heating oil and the gasoline and the kerosene and those kinds of things. But until they change the laws, we are prohibited from exporting crude oil in this country. So we're going to have to change those laws if we're going to, because what you see is a glut of crude oil in this country, especially once Saudi Arabia starts ramping up and producing and shipping. We will see a glut of crude oil in this country, and they won't be able to refine it fast enough. Plus, the refineries, guys, have spent billions of dollars in recent years to shift away from the light, sweet crude and go to the heavier stuff coming out of some of the tar sands and what have you. Much of what's being produced now is light, sweet. So the refineries that are disadvantaged, they can't process enough of the light, sweet, and they can't shift back overnight. It'll take them a while to reshift and refocus. So there's a lot going on, but I'm telling your listeners that this is, well,
it's good at the gas pump, but
it's good in some areas. It isn't in some others, and there's a lot of ramifications. A stronger dollar helps the consumer, but the flip side is why normally the countries like China and others, now the Europeans with their euro, are trying to artificially depress the price of their currencies, is it gives them an advantage when it comes to exporting their products. As an importing country, primarily, America will benefit from a stronger dollar. It will make what I'm buying overseas cheaper. But if I'm an exporting manufacturer, it will put me at a disadvantage to my competitors overseas. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's all coming pretty fast right now.
All right, now let's stay on this note of finances and money and talk about the big front page article that was in This Weekend's USA Today, that Sharia law is being written and implemented in some American finance companies.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right, explain that to me, Mike.
Well, right here in the USA Today Money.
Yeah.
It says Sharia financing takes off in the West. Investors, banks are being drawn to Islamic bonds. And the whole story started by a gentleman. His name is Ahmed Khan. That in Chicago he had a slaughterhouse and he slaughters his animal according to the Sharia, which is halal, which is the same word as kosher.
Okay.
The Muslims believes that you're supposed to slaughter the animal a certain way, the same way as what a Jewish person would believe. It is called the kosher. And in all reality, it is the right way. I mean, actually, when you read in our Old Testament, in Leviticus, and you're going to find the way you slaughter the animals, it's much healthier if you buy it halal or kosher. If you buy it the way it's slaughtered, which is all the blood is bled out of it, and that's why you won't have as high cholesterol people that eats in that way. So it is.
To do with religion, they want to do it the healthier way.
They want to do it the healthier way. But go ahead.
Well, now Sharia law does not allow someone to borrow money and pay interest on it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to this way.
Yeah, and they've come up with a way to kind of go around that.
Basically, but let's take it a step back as an ex-Muslim, as I understand these things. You realize it did not. Even in the Quran, if they're using their basics for this whole thing, as it's in the Quran, they're lying. Because the Quran forbids the lender from charging usury or interest. We find that as well as an advice in our Bible, that you are to lend and not to borrow.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Jewish law prohibits a certain interest being charged over. I think there's some limitations, but the same type of prohibitions that you're talking about with Sharia law.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is. But the gentleman over here takes it, and I've read another gentleman over here concerning the could Sharia compliant banking change the finance world this year? Very well. I mean, actually, it's given that it has grown to the fact of trillions of dollars. I mean, that's how strong. I don't remember exactly the number, but it is right here. It's in the trillions of dollars. That particular part is basically the idea.
What's the incentive for the borrower and the lender under this arrangement?
Well, basically, the whole arrangement, I feel it was manipulation to the banking industry. As saying when a Muslim comes and says, like that gentleman over here, he needs $2 million to expand his operation because the demand. And he says, but my religion forbids me from borrowing with interest. Can you give me that money with no interest?
And somehow the finance companies figured out a way to do this. And why should this fear you? Why should you be scared of this? Why should you fear Sharia law coming into America? Mike Ahmed, former Muslim, now Jesus freak. Tom Coates is here. I'm Mac McCoy. And if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. We're on The Truth, 99.3, and we're coming back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
All right, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News and Mike Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian in True Blue. Mike Ahmed, a former Muslim and now Jesus freak, is in the studio with Tom Coates today. We're going to talk some politics here in a minute, but to wrap up the conversation on this Sharia law entering United States financing, what the Muslims are really doing is skirting the rules. They're based, I mean, God knows what they're doing,
Right.
and they're going against Sharia law. They just changed the way they said it, so semantics make it okay.
Yep. Yes. Exactly. That's.
What does that mean to our economy?
Well, I believe Tom would have something to say.
Well,
to that.
you're mentioning that it's more than $1 trillion market.
Yes.
I don't know how much of that is based in the U.S., but my guess is that there's a fair amount based in the U.S. from U.S. residing Muslims that are, as you said, trying to stay within the legal boundaries of what their belief is, but the reality is that they're not. Right. Now, if that were shut off, or whoever, the high potentate on top of the Muslim world says that this is nothing more than a charade, you continue to practice this, and we're going to put you out, outside the boundaries of what we consider our community, and we dry that up, then where do they go for their lending, and who's going to have? Because the lenders are incentivized right now because the return on their capital through traditional avenues is reduced. Yes. Now it's the price. I think also, guys, another impact in all likelihood is that the stock market takes it hard at this point. I think in this last week, we kind of put the pencil point on the top for the time being of the stock market. As the crude oil goes down, I think you're going to see the stock market go down. So many of them have gone into the stock market for improved returns, and they've taken risks there that are going to end up being not that good for them. And they're incentivized right now to come in with a better than average return on their money because they're offered a chunk of the profitability of this. So I think that would have an impact in our markets. In fact, what's happening now is you're seeing a run to quality. Treasury notes, treasury bonds, guys, are jumping up in price because the money is starting to flee out of the stock market. Now, as they go, inversely also goes the interest rates. If you bought a bond yesterday and it goes up in price, that's fine, but the return of yield, if you buy it today, is even lower. So as the treasury bonds that a few weeks ago were selling for 130s are now selling for the low to mid 140s, you get that much lower return. So the lenders are even more desperate to get that. I understand it. I think that's a good topic, but I don't think we want to go too long on this and miss the point that Mike can bring us on the politics going on in the Middle East right now, do we?
Yeah, Mike Ahmed is our guest today, and you stopped me the other day in church and told me an amazing story about something. Was it one of your relatives?
Yes, my cousin, my first cousin.
Okay. Tell me, and talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old. Slow down. I'm slow.
Okay.
Explain to me what's going on here.
Well, my cousin posted on Facebook, her and her husband, they were with President El-Sisi, which is the new president for Egypt.
Okay.
They were together at a reception as he returns from the United Nations meeting, all of them concerning...
just 2 weeks ago.
Exactly, concerning ISIS. And basically, President Obama asking El-Sisi, he says, are you going to be a part of this? Are you going to... What are you going to do concerning the fight against ISIS? And President El-Sisi looked at him and he said, I didn't create the monster. You created the monster, and you take him out. I've already been fighting terrorism since 1972 in Egypt and without anybody else's help. We don't support terrorists. We're against terrorists. But you've created that monster. I mean, he repeated himself. And President Obama could not return one word, except later on, he asked him, are you still want those planes? And he said, unless you fly them yourself. And he walked out of the meeting because he was insulted. Because
so he was trying to extort his cooperation with this ISIS campaign with the planes and the military equipment, presumably, that the U.S. has been and continues to supply to Egypt. So he was trying to use that as a lever to blackmail him into doing what he wanted him to do. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, where will Egypt get the planes if they don't get them from America? They get them from Russia?
You buy them from Russia or France. I mean, the thing is, it was offensive because Hillary Clinton was there at one time during the other president that was Onstead, and said to the people, you need to support him. You can't. Well, the people don't want him. They know what was he's about, and she said, we're going to stop your aid. And the people of Egypt, they literally passed a hat and they paid off the debt. And it's not a debt. It was a subsidy. It's a subsidy from the United States. So we can continue buying from the United States, and they continue to buy from the United States instead of buying from Russia and from other entities. And that, so you can't.
So the American taxpayer was subsidizing Egypt, so they would continue to buy through Boeing and the other military manufacturers.
Yes, and they were offended with the word, the aid. It is not an aid; it's a subsidy, and we accepted it, so we can maintain. So you can.
The American taxpayer ought to be offended by it, but
correct, exactly.
But yes, I understand what you're saying.
So how do you think Obama is seen through the eyes of some of these Arab countries?
He is very well disliked, disrespected. We are looked down on. My family are offended by me staying here. Well, first of all, they were offended for me moving away from there. But now they are offended that I'm not protesting by leaving and returning. And I says, listen, I'm an American. I've lived here longer than I've lived over there. I was required to denounce my citizenship as an Egyptian to become an American because it was my choice. I wanted to choose the country. I wanted to choose the God whom I serve. I wanted to be free or dead. That's where I am. And this is what I chose to live. But they consider us as Americans concerning supporting Obama so far as fools, because they've seen his true picture. They've seen where he's coming from, his foreign policy, his approaches is absolutely a support to terrorism rather than against terrorism. That's how they see it.
They see him supporting terrorism.
Yes, and implementing terrorisms and keeping the chaos going on.
Well, let me ask you. Initially, his words assured a lot of Americans of things that that they wanted to believe. He was kind of a blank slate when he walked in because he was less than a one-term U.S. senator. He didn't have much of a track record going back to Illinois. He spoke well. He was a blank slate. Did the Middle East people view him in the same way? He gave a lot of flowery talk to things. Did they initially expect much more than they got, and they looked at his actions, and they looked at the overthrow of, I'll use Gaddafi as an example. Gaddafi told Obama at one point, we should be working together against these radical interests. It was less than a year later, they were digging him dead out of a hole. Those kinds of things, he draws this line in the sand over in Syria and then ignores it, and he allows ISIS. Now the Egyptian president says, you created this monster by not taking care of it when it was in its budding stages in Syria.
By supplying the arms and everything.
And gave the arms and the training and the trainers and so on and so forth. And the line that was drawn didn't go anywhere, and now they're expanding on over into Iraq. And hundreds of their fighters rout tens of thousands of U.S. trained Iraqis. It's amazing.
Mike, we're out of time. I appreciate you. You need to get to your parking meter before it costs you $20. So I thank you for coming in. I'd like you to come back at some point because your knowledge of what's going on here is just really valuable. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Enough.
We need more time with this guy.
Yeah, I know. We'll get him to come back in, and you and I'll kind of unpack this when we come back from the break.
All right.
Mike Ahmed has been here. Tom Coates is here. Ryan's producing, and I'm Mac here on The Truth. The Truth sets you free. 99.3. Psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places, especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
Get away from my Sumito credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
Metropolis on everywhere. Metropolis on everywhere.
See 'em here, see 'em there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Metropolis on everywhere. Metropolis on everywhere.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com.
Metropolis on everywhere.
Visit emetroford.com today.
All right, 10 minutes before the top, Salem Radio Network News will update us on the latest news. Probably something in there about crude oil prices down to $80 a barrel. If you don't keep track of that, we've been hovering at about $100 a barrel for 6 years.
Well,
more
up and down, but over $100 a barrel consistently until the last couple weeks, and it's dramatic. It's today really starts to put a watershed on this thing. And
you think it can go down another 20%?
I think it can, and I think people think this is just a short-term correction in the market. It's going to be right back over $90 and $100. Are fooling themselves, and I don't believe they understand what's going on right now.
Now, I want to say something. Mike's gone. Mike Ahmed's gone now. I want to say something that I don't know if people really realize. Mike's the real deal. What we got from him today came directly from the mouth of his cousin, who is a very high-up player in Egypt. He would be like the John Kerry, okay? He would be like the Hillary Clinton. He would be, somebody like that. And the only reason Mike was comfortable sharing this with it is because he also put it on his Facebook page. Because in Egypt, what's going on over there with Assad and Obama, they're falling more in love with Assad every day, even though he's really not their favorite dude. Remember the spring? What did they call that? The Arab Spring?
Yes, Arab Spring.
Where they wanted Assad out no matter what, and they protested day after night after day after night. Assad is now the hero. Because he has publicly said out loud in front of reporters, in front of Mike Ahmed's cousin, you made this mess, Obama. You go clean it up. Oh, and by the way, those billions and billions and billions of dollars of pork and corn and airplanes and guns and ammunition that we were going to buy from you, billions and billions and billions, we don't want it anymore. We don't want your subsidies. We don't want your help. You have screwed this up so bad. And I think one of the interesting perceptions that we need to take from this is it is clear to everyone who's an Arab that Obama is pro-terrorism.
Yeah, I think they've got him properly pegged as an extremely feckless leader. And I think his fallback strategy, rather than arguing with him over, well, yeah, I may have created ISIS, but went to a position of trying to be the blackmailer. We're giving you all of this military hardware subsidized. Do you want to continue to receive it? You'll do as I say. And the guy turns on his heels and walks away from him, insulted that he thinks he could be blackmailed that way.
He said, "You're going to sell me planes?" He said, "Then you're going to fly them," was his exact quote.
Yeah.
And what I need people to understand, you know, this is just a little radio station in central Iowa. But we got some truth here today. We got some truth that you'll never see on the evening news. You'll never see in the Des Moines Register. Why? Because it puts their king, their leader, Barack Hussein Obama, in a bad light. And I personally cannot wait. I cannot wait until 2018. And 2016.
16. I said we can't wait till 18. I'm not sure we can wait till 16, but
because I really believe the truth mongers are going to come out howling after Barack Obama's out of office.
Well, it's starting now, Mac. I mean, you've seen the bloom come off the rose. You've seen some of the people that have been with him. The one that just wrote the book and came out recently, that Leon Panetta. A very respected person in actually both sides of the aisle to some degree, come out and expose the weaknesses of Barack Obama as not really a leader. He described him more as a law professor trying to act the role of a leader, and did not like the conflicts that were in there. He's got an agenda, and I think what's really was he mentioned the beheadings, at least off the air, to us. When that newsman had his head taken off, and Barack Obama stepped up the mic, and less than 10 minutes later he was back on the golf course yucking it up with his buddies. That really torqued off a lot of the media people that had been running cover for him for 6 years. I think that kind of started his downfall, and they more and more are willing to acknowledge this guy was... Tom Brokaw did a piece the other day. In essence, we can't have the presidency be a training ground. He was talking about Barack Obama. He didn't use him by name, but he said, we've got to have people that are qualified to step into this office. You can't use this as a training ground.
Well, and I'm going to go even a step further, and I need witnesses here. Ryan, do I have a tinfoil hat on? No. Tom, do I have a tinfoil hat on?
Not that I can see.
Okay. We are going to find out two very important things about Barack Obama. One, we're going to find out his college transcripts, which is going to lead to the fact that he got aid, financial aid, as a foreign student.
And he wasn't the brightest guy to ever step on the campus.
And we're going to learn that, and I don't care what you darn Democrats and liberals say, you can call me whatever name you want. You can call me a birther. You can call me a monger. I don't care. We're going to find out that this guy really wasn't born in America. And you know what the problem with that is, Tom? That means everything that he did during his presidency is not legitimate. Yeah. We could go back and take everything from the good to the bad. Yeah, we can dump Obamacare, but all the other things that he's put into place...
How do you unwrap it?
The Congress, well, it's illegal.
Well, I understand. I understand what you're saying, and whether he is or not, I don't see how you unwrap it at this point. I mean, some of the things can be unwrapped. Other things, after they're inculcated, like Obamacare, I think it's going to be very difficult. Yeah, I'd like to tear it out and replace it, but I think the longer it's in there, the harder it is to uproot. And yeah, he's going to probably be in there for another 2 years, and the next thing we're going to be treated to is amnesty.
Yeah. Guys, the cork is going to come out of the jug.
How are you going to put that back in the bottle?
As soon as we get done with the elections, which are 2 weeks from today.
Yeah, he's not doing it now because it'd be unpopular, and even more Democrats would lose their jobs. But when you have amnesty, And part of the reason people are speculating he's not closing the border is for the Ebola coming out of West Africa. Is his next act after the elections is amnesty.
Yeah.
And say, how can you close the border for one? You can't close it for the other. It could be right.
So what do we do? Well, in 2 weeks, we make sure that we elect people that are honest. And I'm just going to tell you, you elect Joni Ernst, you elect Steve King, you elect David Young.
Let me say this about David Young. Some people aren't happy the way he got to be the nominee. Some people don't think he's conservative enough. And you and I might be on that same page. But when you consider the alternative with Stacey Apple, a vote for anything else other than David Young is not your right vote.
Yeah. And beyond all that, I think the most important thing is that we pray. We pray that God gives you and I the strength to stand up and have our voices heard. Not in anger, not in violence, no bloodshed. Just stand up. And in this country, we need a revolution. Not a revolution of guns and blood, but a revolution of love. Remember, in the word revolution, there is the word love. So tonight, just pray. Pray for yourself and this country, and pray for Barack Obama that he begins to see the light. We'll see you tomorrow.